more revenue, theoretically, to address the needs of their citizens. The accountability question is a different question entirely. And that's why I liked when my brother said, we need to separate the chicken from the egg. But I'll leave it there for now.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ely. Thank you so much. Please let's give him a round of applause, please. Thank you so much. So since more light is coming our way as Nigerian citizens as regards to that, we still say there are some conflicting things that we're still confused about, right? As Nigerians, it seems as if we don't know the different kind of tax that we have, and probably that's where the issue is coming from. So I would like Stone to speak into that, and also how we can file our tax, because to tell us the kind of tax that we have, and those ones that are affected ordinary Nigerians, basically, for business owners and all.
Thank you. Thank you for putting together this conversation. It's much needed. Last year, I was excited for the first time. I've been in tax consulting for about 14 years. But last year was the first time that I realized that Nigerians were interested in taxes. Social media went agog. People were panicking, of course, because of the misinformation and the many things that was going on there. But for me, what I was seeing was something deeper than what every other person was reading, online. The fact that Nigerians are interested, they are participating, they are asking questions. For me, that showed that we were on the right track, as a country. By the way, I'm not a government spokesperson, but I also know that for any country to develop in the way that we all desire, and as far as we've decided not to japa, I'm one of those that have decided not to japa, not because I cannot japa, it is a desire. So the point is that if we choose to stay in Nigeria, shouldn't we make Nigeria work? Right. And one of the key ways for Nigerians to work is that citizen participation is a must. It's not something that we can wish away if we want Nigeria to be better. So as I said, the reaction regarding the tax reform, I loved it. Even though it was chaotic, little by little, I think the right information started coming out as well. Then people became more at peace. And I think where people had the most peace was when it was January 1st, because there was this news circulating that January 1st, they'll start deducting money from your account for taxes. So I guess when most Nigerians woke up and they checked their account balance and they realized that, okay, the actual amount that I left there is still there. That gave them some form of comfort that then that means there's a lot of rumor. So as I said, we're on the right track and I'm happy about that. For the different taxes that we have, I think they've spoken a lot about personal income tax. A personal income tax normally relates to individuals, self-employed, and people even doing business as far as you're registered either as a business name, an enterprise, a venture. The tax that is relating to you is called personal income tax. Why? Because your form of registration, the business name or enterprise, still sees you as a person. Like that business does not have its own unique legal identity. And that's why your taxes are charged personal income tax. So this is also a common misconception because what everybody likes to say is NRS. In my head, I'm like, do you know that there are some state taxes? I mean, some taxes are supposed to be paid to the state. If you are a resident in Lagos, LRS. If you are a resident in Ogun, there's Ogun Inland Revenue Service, And in terms of practice also, I've seen people pay taxes. When I say they pay the wrong tax, they pay taxes to the wrong bodies. This happens over and over. And I thought that I should lay this foundation so who pays company income tax? And companies that are registered as a limited liability company, NGOs, right? I know you say NGOs no pay tax, I agree, but they are under the corporate body and their tax is administered by NRS, formerly known as FRS. So it's important that we are paying our taxes too. Now, so for the personal income tax, what do you have to do? If you're self-employed, you run a business and individual. It could even be that you are a salary worker as well, but you have some side hustle that you do, right? Regardless, personal income tax relates to you. And what the law says before 31st of March of every year, you're expected to file your taxes. So yes, so we are running the race towards 31st of March 2026 as regard your taxes for 2025, because taxes are usually administered on 15-year basis, right? So if you're in 2026, you'll be paying taxes for 2025. That's the facts. Then so also for companies now, the NRS. Right now, I think there is a particular provision in the law that people may not understand the reason why it's there, and I'll speak more to that. That has to do with the definition for small companies. The small companies, as regarding company income tax, is defined as companies that their turnover is less than 100 million in a year and their assets is less than 250 million. Now, so the common question is, should I go and register my company as a limited liability company? Before I answer that question directly, I want you to understand why that was created. You know, I didn't get his name, but he said something very profound. You see, before this new law, the tax laws we had before was anti-businesses. It didn't that those tax laws, you cannot succeed. It's difficult for you to succeed in business. I'm not joking. I'm a tax consultant. I understand why, and that's why people would rather try and cut corners than for them to, fully comply with the laws, because it didn't make sense. I remember when I started tax consulting, there's this thing called commencement rule before it was changed in 2019 with the Finance Act. Commencement rule, literally, in your first year of business, you are paying taxes twice, like multiple taxation. That rule did not make sense to me. I remember that the first filing I did, I went to FIS office and I was fighting them. I'm like, no, look at this, it doesn't make sense. And I remember the official telling me that, yes, when it doesn't make sense, but that's what the law says. So it was anti-business route, outrightly. Now, what this new tax law is trying to do is to ensure that people that choose to run their business under the corporate umbrella, right, to have a legal identity for their businesses, they want more people to actually adopt that. So before now, it's only in Nigeria that if you run your business as a business name, as against running it as a limited liability company, it's cheaper. Anywhere abroad, I mean in all the developed countries, when you want to minimize your tax liability, the first thing a tax consultant will tell you is that go and register your company as a limited liability company. Why? The moment you're under that corporate umbrella, you enjoy a lot of benefits that helps to reduce your tax liabilities. That's why they will tell you if you ask, I want to buy a car, should I buy it in my name or in the name of a company? They will tell you buy it in the name of a company. You know why? There are benefits for doing that. And that's why this tax law too was enacted to encourage more small businesses to adopt the corporate structure. Now, the truth is that if you are in business and you want to grow and have the growth mindset, this is the best structure for you to go for. Why? It allows for growth. I remember I just said to you that if your turnover is less than 100 million, you don't pay, right? So it means that there's a lot of, they've given you like some tax holiday for you to try and really grow your business until you're able to, will I say, cross that mark of 100 million. So for any serious-minded business owner that knows that I'm doing this business not for survival, but because I want to build a business, that will grow, that will feed people, probably also outlive me, right? This is the right structure for you. And it starts from now. And that's why that tax law exists, so that small businesses, you're still upcoming, but you're thinking, but you have that dream, you have the drive. And the truth is that if people also want to invest in your company, they will not invest in a business name. Nobody invests in a business name. They only invest in a limited liability company. It's only when you have that structure, right? That legal structure that people will say, okay, what do you have? Can I invest in your company? But without that, people will not want to invest. So these are like the benefits that a lot of people are not paying attention to. Because what I've seen also is that some people are just saying, oh, let me just go and register a limited liability company so that I don't pay taxes. I agree with you, take advantage of it. It's in the law and nobody will hold it against you. Now, it's possible that you have, some may have this at the back of their mind that, so are you saying that if I run as a business name, even if my turnover is less than 100 million, I'll pay taxes? Yes, you pay personal income tax outrightly. But if your company, the structure for your company is a limited liability company, if your turnover is less than 100 million with an asset that is less than 250 million, you do not pay taxes. So yes, it is cheaper. Outrightly, it is. Now, that being said, so I'm still talking about company income tax. The other speaker made mention of it, the consolidation of the other taxes we had before. We had numerous taxes. Like there were just so many to keep up. We had Lasani, we had police levy, we had education tax. It was a lot. Now they've been consolidated into one tax called the development levy, and it's at 4%, which makes tax compliance also easier. To the question for tax filing, as the speaker rightly said, they took into consideration the informal sector because that's like the largest part of our economy. We cannot ignore that. And we cannot start saying that the market woman in the market, come and file your tax. Where's the app? Come and file. Definitely, that's not going to happen anytime soon. And just as I said, that's why they come up with the presumptive tax rate. In terms of how that will be administered, we are not clear on that yet. So I think we need to, you need to just be patient for them to release the guidelines for implementation, but it will not entail you people going to file, trust me. Because right now, even we that we are filing, we know how easy, quote and unquote, it is to file, let alone, telling drivers and market women to go and file. But the point is that the way and the mode of administering that, I believe the guidelines would be released soon. Let me tell you some other good sides to the tax law, and I'll tell you the other side as well. Yeah, I think the major one that people are really confused about is the VAT. And VAT is value added tax, right? And it is at 7.5% at the moment. At the moment, all basic food, healthcare, education, medical services, they are exempted from VAT. So that means that when you get to pay VAT, even if you go and buy, like now, if you go and buy food from Mama Foods that is on the road, you will not pay tax because it is Mama Foods, small business. But if you go to Transco to go and eat, you will pay VAT. Yes. Right. And what the law is saying is that it's just trying to capture the activities that the middle class and the rich class, or like, are they called rich class? Yes. The rich people, they patronize from time to time, and to ensure that at every point in time they give a fair share in terms of taxes. So the good thing about this VAT now is that in the tax law also we have something called the VAT refund, meaning that a situation which has never happened before, but in the Western world, this is something that is common. Even you, if you travel out, you're not resident there. If you buy an item that you are paid at, but because you're not resident and maybe there's a law that says that you get a refund, the funny thing, you just fill the form online. And even when you're back in your country, you get your VAT refund. It has worked for me. It's not yesterday. We came back, we filled the form, and we got our money. I'm like, oh, okay, this thing really works. Yeah, so that's like the system that Nigeria is. We are moving towards. that's something also we want to achieve, whereby when you're entitled to a VAT refund, you are able to get your VAT refund. At the moment, that's not the reality in Nigeria. It's challenging, very difficult for you to get VAT refunds. And what could lead to VAT refunds? I think that's the question. I'm going to go a bit technical right now. You can understand it fully, but just pick one or two things. So VAT refunds will usually occur, maybe when your VAT input is higher than your VAT output. So VAT output is on sale. When I buy something, right, that VAT that I paid, what VAT output. But the VAT input is the one that I pay to my supplier in producing that goods. So when I put together all the VAT I paid to my supplier, then I compare it to the one I got from my customer. If the one I paid to my supplier is higher, I am entitled to a VAT refund. Let me tell you what. The principle of VAT is that it's the final consumer that bears the burden. So, an instance whereby the money I pay my supplier for VAT is higher than what I'm receiving from my customer, it negates that rule. And that's why you're entitled to a VAT refund in that instance, right? You can, and they're working towards that system. At the moment, they've introduced something called e-invoicing to bring transparency, to this VAT refund policy. So the good thing I like about this reform is that it's being backed with actions, right? The moment that VAT, the reforms were announced, that's when they started the e-invoicing, and started with the big conglomerate. They are the ones that have adopted e-invoicing. At the moment, they've moved to another tier for companies that have turnover that's about 3 billion. They've said you need to adopt e-invoicing. The idea is that at some point, at every point in time in Nigeria, anytime you buy something, the vendor must be using an e-invoicing platform so that that information is transmitted directly to FRS. There's transparency. So that when you come and say, oh, I have a VAT refund because I purchased this and this and this, they can easily confirm on their system because your vendor too had transmitted that information. And at that point in time, they can say, yes, truly, you have a VAT refund. Take your money. I think it's a better system for every one of us that also brings transparency. Especially for me, that transparency is very key. There's transparency on every side, even for the citizens and for the tax administrators as well. And it just makes everybody's life easier. So that's one fantastic thing about this, the tax reform we have, the e-invoice and the VAT refund. And I think I'll take a pause at this point because there's a lot, but I'll take a pause. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That was fully packed. So we've been hearing from our expert in the past couple of minutes, and we just want to hear from ordinary Nigerians. I also want to go back to Nigerians. You have something to say? All right.
Thank you very much. My concern tallies with what the gentleman said. I didn't quite get his name. Mr. Ineoke, when he said those who are in structured payment or formal payment should raise their hands, I found out that very few people raise their hands. At the World Bank meeting today, they said only 7% of Nigerians are in structured or formal payment. 93% of us are on our own personal hustles, or what informal, I don't know how they call it. So in this bill now, how do you calculate this your presumptive tax you're talking about? I don't know how you now get the data to come to that conclusion of 1% you are talking about. Then my question to her is, I'm hearing, we are in the rural community. We are not very much, exposed to information like humble self. So I'm hearing that the tax one is been suspended. Like you said, it's supposed to start in January, deductions and all that. But now that it's been suspended to make the government look good because of election and all that, everything is on hold. I'm hearing that. I'm not sure. So I want to know if it is. Secondly, there is this also news going on that they have two versions of this one fake bill. We don't know which one is real, which one is fake. Then has it been gazetted? If it is been gazetted, I think there is supposed to be time
disconnected.
for
Bluetooth
the ordinary
connected.
Nigerians, because you cannot hold people accountable for something they are not properly informed or educated. People don't know that I wrote new tax now. This is what I'm supposed to do. So where is the NOA to inform the common Nigerians that, okay, going forward, this is how much you earn, this is what you should do in terms of filing. I'm just hearing filing for the first time, even as little exposed I am. So what are Nigerians supposed to do? We don't know. We're hearing is suspended, so the government will look good to launder their image because of election is coming. Then after the election, they will come with full force. So all kinds of information. In fact, one of the persons there said, look, they are not doing well in terms of communication, government communicating properly to the people. So I don't know, you as an expert, what do you think in this regard? Then again, sir, you talked about the removal of fuel subsidy. I'm also hearing again that this subsidy we are even talking about was partially removed. Is it true that even this one was seen now? Because what we have seen in the last couple of years is hunger and hardship. And we're again hearing that it's partial removal, that it's not even fully removal yet. So is it true also? Sometimes these things, information is flowing left, right, and center. I don't know which one to believe. Government is not coming out straight to talk to people that, okay, this is where we are and this is what we are doing. So do you have chat questions so that some of us also who are in the room, who can tell those who are listening to us?
Thank you so much for that question. Before I get Mr. Ini to speak into that, I would like to also hear from one of us, Chora, if I'm not mistaken, a lecturer. I just want to ask so that Mr. Ini can take the questions together. What do you think will make you to pay tax? Or what can the government do that will make you comfortable to pay tax?
Sorry, I was a bit distracted. Let me get your question clearly, so I can give you a proper response. What should the government do for me or for? Well, for me in person, I guess is to see them implement this tax that's being collected, because most of the times there is this breach of trust between citizens and government. And well, the policies are beautiful, right? But the belief in the outcome of the tax being collected, right, is tending towards failure. So for me in person, I feel I will be willing to pay my tax if it is evident that tax, right, will be utilized for the right reasons. So I guess evidence will do it for me.
All right, thank you so much. So as Mr. Ini responds to his question, I just want you to also tell us how the government can bridge this trust gap.
All right, thank you. So to the first question, what the 1% translates into. So the math is just that if your total revenue, right, in a month is 100,000 naira, 1% of that is 1,000 naira. If it's 1,000,000 naira, it is 10,000 naira. I don't know if that makes sense to you. So that's what 1% translates into. And even under the presumptive tax regime, not even all the players in the informal sector would pay. Because I've been privy to some of the conversations that have happened, that some people that are at the lowest rung of the ladder, so people like corn sellers, those people who push food vendors, the wheelbarrow guys who push vulcanizers, all those people on the streets that in a day, maybe they are making 5,000, 7,000, 10,000 naira. That those cadre of business people would even be given exemption stickers, because those people live from hand to mouth. If they don't go out, some of them, if they don't go out to open their stores in a day or also. They don't even have what to eat. So that's my response to that. But just to quickly also touch on something she raised around VAT reform. And this is because there's a lot of reform, rather, information. Actually, school fees is supposed to, even the price or the cost of tuition for schools is supposed to reduce. Because education, and correct me if I'm wrong, is zero rated. What that means is anything that the school spends, any VAT that the school incurs in providing that education service, it can claim. So for instance, if the school pays VAT on the school bus or on stationaries, that school can claim that VAT when it files it, because input credit applies to it because education is zero. So that's even an additional benefit to the school. And so that school is not supposed to, increase tuition fee. But I know it's because there's a lot of misinformation. Now, you also asked if subsidy has been removed. If you're also well acquainted with, what's happening with Dangote at the moment, Dangote is almost like the largest supplier of PMS across the federation. Dangote is a private business. The other day when we met with some US officials, they disclosed that Dangote even buys the bulk of his crude from the US. So there's no way you can subsidize PMS for Nigerians. The NNPC, to the best of my knowledge, has stopped importing petrol. And the reason why petrol used to be subsidized at the time was because it's either the NNPC used to import or they used to issue out licenses to marketers to import. But as at the last count, I know that has stopped, meaning that PMS is not subsidized. And that's why when I went to buy fuel day before yesterday at a filling station, I bought it at 1,330, I think. When I bought yesterday, it was 1,260. When I bought this afternoon, it was 1,161. So the marketers are just working on the prices based on what the global price of crude is at the moment. And then to the question the moderator asked as to how the contract can and should work. I think the mere fact that we now know that we are going to pay and we are paying gives the more reason why we should be interested in what government does with our resources and how they spend these resources to our benefit. A lot of times, Nigerians do not participate in how government decides to, govern society. And whenever I have the opportunity to speak, I always use what happens at the local level. When I used to live in Lagos in an estate, I realized that whenever they call for estate meetings on Saturdays, people don't attend. And I know it happens in when they call for meetings in your street to discuss the issues affecting your street or your house, or even within your house, your landlord calls for a meeting, you always look for an excuse not to attend. When I engage the Yaba local government area, because they do public hearings for their budgets, and they say when they put out these hearings, they invite people to come. The people who end up attending at the end of the day are the market women, the vulcanizers. And these are people that do not have the information that you have. And so when the decision is made, we now after the fact to start complaining. Meanwhile, when the opportunity was made available for you to contribute, you did not find it important or necessary to do so. If you go to social media now and you see the number of engagements or maybe on a budget tweet that talks about all of these things, you see the number of engagements on a CISD post, and then compare it to what is happening with maybe King Michi or BBN or all of these TikTok challenges, or even Pella, you see the engagements that they get. So if you look at critically, you would agree with me that the society that we live in today, we have refused to contribute to building the society that we think we deserve or desire. But you ask yourself critically, to what extent? But it's not given. No. If you look at countries all over the world where you think things work, it took blood and sweat to actually achieve those things. If somebody calls for a protest now and they just throw small tear gas, the next day nobody will come out again. But you know, democracies that work, there are some places that people have to light themselves on fire to liberate those countries. I'm not saying we should do that. But liberties are not given a la carte. People fight for it. Sometimes people lose their lives in the process. So there's a lot more as citizens that we have to do to extract the things that we need and desire from government. And I'd like to leave it there for now.
All right, thank you so much. Please let's give him a round of applause, please. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. It's been an amazing time so far, right? We welcome each and everyone that is just joining us. And of course, I'm very sure you pick one or two before you leave. So I also like to, okay, so let's hear from the NOA. We've all been saying things. She wants to react to it now.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Mrs. Abiodun Olayeni from National Orientation Agency. I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to, in fact, know that most Nigerians are more or less doing our job. The person sitting beside me here has been speaking on our behalf. You know what NOA does to encourage you to be active in the country, participate. That's our duty. We are not experts in tax laws or whatever. When the tax reform came, as citizens, you know, we are also Nigerians. We were afraid that it may be negative for us. I was at a program about a month ago where we were trained on what we should be expecting from the new tax law. And I realized that it's in fact better than what it has been. One thing we should know as Nigerians is that many Nigerians do not pay tax. Majority of Nigerians do not pay tax. And not shout, what is the government doing? We must know that if you are not paying tax, you have no right to ask what is the government doing. You have to pay your tax, and then you can hold your government accountable. That's what gives you a legal backing to, in fact, hold them accountable. Once you are not paying, it's difficult for you to really talk. And unfortunately, again, in the country, the very rich do not even pay. The civil servants and few people that are working in some good companies that really pay tax. And we even discover that there are companies who give false income when it comes to tax. That they have sheets for their payments. Some, you take the one that is less to the tax office for your staff to be taxed on, while their real salary is not what they are taxing. I think it's just the civil servants that are really taxed in this country. It's unfortunate. There are some countries who do not have resources that we have, and they have been managing on tax, and they are doing very well. I think what we saw in this new tax reform is a call for every citizen to be transparent, to be accountable, and to love your country more. Because like the personal income tax, it will be on you to be sincere enough to say, this is how much I got this year, and this is how much I spent, so that you can be taxed rightly or maybe be exempted. Thank God the exception, many Nigerians in fact will not be paying tax the way I see it, because I think the statistics, they say many of us are below the poverty level. So many people will not be taxed. But there were so many misinformation at the beginning of the whole thing that people were afraid. And like many have said there, we are getting to know that it's not like that. Like your account was deducted from it. Everyone was thinking you will go and start keeping your money at home so that nobody will remove from it. But we now understand that that's not where the tax will be coming out from. And the VAT from the bank is not about how much you have there, but it's VAT on the transaction that is carried out by the bank. So you just see like the 550 something naira that is deducted. It's not a matter of thousands being deducted. But as a staff of National Orientation Agency speaking on behalf of our agency, I want to implore us all that whatever we learn here today, we should see it as something you need to tell others about and encourage others. We know that there is so much mistrust for the government. The fear is always, even when it is collected, what are they going to use it for? We were discussing about something like this yesterday in the office, and something occurred to me. We were talking about private schools billing so highly for students. Then we remember that in public schools where they pay very little, the teachers are paid better than in that private school where they are paying highly. Where is the money coming from? It's coming from the government. Where is the government getting the money? It's not supposed to be just from oil or crude oil. It's also from tax. The hospitals we go, some of us we use NHIS. Even when you don't use, when you go to government hospitals, you cannot pay in full for the services. You always know the difference between government organizations and the private. So you should know that government is spending something. We shouldn't put it at the back of our mind that we are not gaining anything from Nigeria. We shouldn't. There are things we are gaining. We know most of us have water in our houses is by us. Light, you use generator, you use solar most of the time. You say your roads are not okay. But there are some of your people who are really benefiting, even if you think you are not benefiting. And because we want a change in the country, when something good like this has come up, experts in the field, it is better for us. Let us take it that is better. And let us encourage those, especially those in the private sector, try to be sincere enough to pay this tax. It's after we have paid it that we can stand up and call on the government that you have not done anything. But while you are not paying tax, don't bother yourself to say, what is the government doing? You have contributed to the country. So why should you bother yourself to say they are not doing anything? We are trusting that the government is going to do better. The agency came up with, you must have been seeing it on TV or hearing on the radio with promises. We call it the National Value Charter. We want the government to have 7 promises for the nation. And we too, citizens, we have our own code of conduct. But we expect, our DG now said, when he came in, he said you cannot expect citizens to always accept what we tell them when the government is not doing what they are supposed to do. It is right. And because of that, we want this government to commit themselves to these 7 promises so that citizens can trust them enough for them to also carry out their own part of the deal. And we are trusting maybe before the end of the year, it will be unveiled by the president. And everybody will know that they are committed to equality, they are committed to democracy, they are committed to meritocracy. We don't want a country where you just do things anyhow. And the young ones, most of you are more or less, even those of you that have not gone out of the country, you're already living as if you are outside the country. Your intelligence is high. We are expecting that you will not take in those bad characters that are already formed by those of us that are old. We are hoping you will not take the bad side of whatever it is that is in the country. You will not say because it's like that, because Some are waiting for their own turn. It shouldn't be like that. We are pleading that you will think of whatever it is that is being done. Most times the policies that are made are very beautiful and good for the country, but when it comes to implementation, that's where we always have the problem. Some of us too that are young are also in the ministries to implement these policies. We are trusting that the young ones will stand up and do whatever it is that is right. We are sure that Nigeria is going to get it somehow. We are so many things are coming up, and we want to believe we are going to get this right. God helping us.
All right, before you go, ma, just 1 minute, please. We have a question for you online. So someone asks, Marcos Ogunfolaju asks, given that a significant proportion of Nigerians, especially smallholder farmers and rural dwellers, have limited access to formal information channel, what specific strategies are being implemented to sensitize and educate rural communities about the tax reform in order to prevent misinformation, fear, or misconception about how the reforms may affect them? Can the representatives?
Thank you. In National Orientation Agency, we have offices all over the country. In the 774 local governments, we have our offices and we have people on ground to do sensitization. So even in the rural areas, sensitizations will be carried out. It's on the radio, some of them listen to radio, but on one talks. We always do like stakeholders meeting, community dialogues. We go to the traditional rulers, to educate them so that they can also educate others. One thing about sensitization is that you can't face each citizen to tell them. Like you are here, you are expected at least, if you are 50 here, you should be able to reach out to 50 times 20 people. That's what should be expected. And you may even have more than 20 people to use to multiply the number of those of us that are here. So when we carry out our sensitization, we expect people to also tell others. You tell your family. You can't call the whole family members to be at the town hall meeting. And sometimes even when you go to the houses, because we do door-to-door campaigns some of the time if it's necessary, you may not meet everybody at home. So the person you meet at home is expected to tell the person that it's not at home. That's how we hope to reach everyone. And this tax is not that everybody, it's those that are working that will be paying tax. It's not for children. So adults, wherever you are working, you somehow you will hear about it. It's just to know the truth about it and not be misinformed. We'll continue to, like I said, in every area council and local government of the country, will carry out sensitization. We've started already, though it's not massive like that, maybe because of funding and because of clarity of the whole thing. Like I told you, we are not experts in the field. They have to tell us what is happening. That's why I went for a training like that 3 weeks ago, just to learn a little. That has not made me an expert, but we have to be very sure. And the cancellation of the January 1, 2026, it's not because of the campaign, but because of what Nigerians are saying. We are not sure. Even the experts are not sure. You heard her saying there are some aspects they are not sure of what will happen. So how do you now start something that you are not very sure of early in the year? So they have to, at the Senate, I think they were not still really ready with it. That's why they have to move it to next year. So it's not because of the campaign or to make the government look good. This is something that is good for the country and it has to be done. Even if the government changes next year, the next government will still do it. It will still make the government, any government that comes, if it's something to make them look bad, it will make any government look bad. So it's a good thing anyway, but it's because of the clarity. There are still many. The last that program I went for, the training, they were also saying it, that there are some that they could not really explain yet. I think until they clarify. Then another problem we are having in the country is the level of education. And things like this make us to know how backward we have gone. For a very long time, we have had free education. and people have not been going to school. So how do you now tell somebody to, doing your personal tax means that you have to be able to keep records of what you are buying and selling and what are, your expenses. But for many in the market, some make over 800,000 if you want to be sincere, but they don't have records. But now they have to have records. So how do you do it when they are not really educated? I remember when I served in Kano, I saw them holding, if anybody has been in Kano before, if you go to Singa, you see them holding piles of money. You will know they have a lot of money, but they don't have records of how much they are making. So every sector we have to start working hard in order to make Nigerians responsible enough to be able to do this tax well.
So much for that. Thank you so much. Because of our time, we're looking at our time, please. Okay, you want to speak into.
So at no point is was the new tax law suspended. It's in full force at the moment. So any transaction you're doing right now is in tandem with the new tax law. Of course, the impact will be felt next year. Remember, I told you that taxes are evaluated on preceding year basis, like your compliance, exactly. So the impact will be felt next year. But please, I want to correct that because I can see that it has been said again. It hasn't, the new tax law is in full force at the moment. Yes, and we've been implementing it. Yeah.
All right, thank you. So there's no suspension anywhere. So I'd like to ask very quickly, the business owners here, you've been paying several charges. So just like to ask you, if you were to change one thing with this new tax reform or the new policy, what will you change? Coming from the angle of your business. Or any business owner, if you have to change just one thing about this new policy, what will you change as regards to your business? So you wanted speaking into.
I wanted to say, thank God the people from the government, like the National Rotation Agency, are here. I want to say it very clear because I don't want a situation where some people will begin to paint the government as good as it were. There are so many things that have been said here. The government has completely failed the people. That is one thing I want to say very, very clear. The government has completely failed the people. If not, this tax issue is not something that we should be debating about up and down. It's an implementation or a structure that's supposed to come and everybody will embrace it. But the truth is that just like me, as I am like this, I won't say there's anything that the government is doing for me. Nothing, absolutely nothing. I'm surviving on my own. And I keep on asking this question, and I want to see the answer. What am I benefiting from the government for me to pay tax in the first place? I asked this question several times. I have not benefited anything from the government. So an issue of paying tax, for me, is this supposed to even come in the first place? Let the government do what they are supposed to do first. Then paying tax should be at the next step. People don't struggle. We don't supposed to struggle over this issue, calling for meetings here and there for people to pay tax. It's supposed to be an implementation. People will look at it and say, okay, the government has been doing this. Even if they cannot do more, let them do something little. Even for this little time that is being suspended, or it will take from next year as it may be. Let the government do something. Let the people say, because this is about trust of the people and the government. If people decided to pay this tax now and the government did not do anything from the tax at the end of the day, what will be the result? People go for protests every day, government will throw tear gas, government will do this, and nothing will happen. We know this government. So the people should not say, the people should not talk as if the government is trying, the government is doing well, it has been doing well, or is doing well, let people pay tax. For me, I don't see any reason, single reason. I said it clear, no single reason for me to pay tax. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much. Before you, is there also a reaction? Okay, so we have one of our speakers also speaking to react to or answer your questions, and that's all.
Thank you very much. My name is George Dalla, and I work mostly in the consultancy space in construction industry. I don't know if anybody from former FIRS, NRS currently here. Most times I pay stamp duty. I pay stamp duty in course of a lot of work I do. But when it comes to filing or anything, I mostly see it in with the Nigeria customs. I don't know who is responsible to collect stamp duty, but there is a Parliament of Act that forms the NIRS and the Nigeria customs and the NIPOST. So I don't see anything. I go to the NIPOST website to see if these things I pay reflect on what they. But most times I see it with the Nigeria customs. Please, I don't know who is to really collect stamp duty. That is my own question.
Thank you so much for that. We have Mr. Telvin speaking to the two questions.
Thank you very much. My name is Telvin Ali. So I've heard you speak, and then your concern is obvious, and everybody says the same thing all the time. But what I want to tell Nigerians today, I think that will be a discussion for another day. We don't follow budget. We don't follow budget. The tax we are talking about is what is used to fund the budget. But when the budget is rolled out, we don't follow the budget. So how do you know what was for you or who has taken it away from you? So what we enjoy is the guy drives his new 70th anniversary Land Cruiser. He comes to the village. He puts 2 street lights. We are happy with what he has done. But did you follow the procurement rule? Did you know how much he's collecting for 1 street light? That is how to follow your tax. And even in paying of taxes, if we all pay taxes, do you know that you end up paying nothing and you have tax returns? Like it will be refunded to you. For instance, for large companies, I know companies that are my client and they have credit note that is so much that they can offset their company income tax for another 2 years if they can show records of what they have done properly. So for most of the time, the problem is with Nigerians. First of all, like I said, we don't follow budget. So you don't know what is meant for you. If they say they're supposed to construct road from, let's say, Gudu to Area 1, and the timeline on the budget says that road should be done in 7 months, we don't know. And the moment we don't care about it, that road can take from that government. Next year again, that road appears in the budget. We don't follow the budget, so we don't know. It appears another budget again, we don't know. So when we complain about what the government does for us, is that the government has given us people that we worship. That's the only thing it has done for us, and that is our fault, actually. Because I don't see why somebody who became a governor and was maybe permanent secretary is owning a house of 5 billion in his first year in office. It's not possible. Even your allowance, everything put together cannot give you that. So that's on that side. Then, which means what I'm trying to say is, if we all pay our taxes and we follow the budget, we will also know what should be given to us. And as I'm talking to you now, I don't know, do we have enough time? I want to do just a short practical for us to see something. Okay, if not, we would have just checked for 1 million naira, whoever earns 1 million naira per month, right? Before now, it is called CRA, Consolidated Relief Allowance. If the CRA would have been 400,000 for anybody, any 1 million. So if they want to tax you, they'll tax you on 600,000. But now, if you're earning 1 million, they say take 800,000, so I'll tax you on 200,000. And this 200,000, if you pay rent, you can provide your evidence of rent and you enjoy relief on it, which is 20%. So if your house rent is like 1 million naira, 20% of 1 million naira is how much? 200,000. And that relieves you, who is earning that 1 million per annum, of zero tax. So the thing is purely about information. But then your concern is genuine. But I've told you that the solution is if all of us can follow the budget. What have they provided for us this year? What is on health? What is on road? What is on this? If they say they should build us health cares like one per local government in the 774 local government, do we follow it? When is your own local government? Has it been built? We don't bother about that. Whoever has a contract, the guy drives big car, we are excited with his car. So that's the issue. Then on the stamp duty issue, it depends on whatever you are doing at the time, right? Transactions that are for companies that does not do business with the customs, they are to take stamp duty from that transaction, which is 1%, right? And for you, consultant, I know most of your, it's just, that's contract agreement, right? So, and you know, by now, you are in the construction industry, right? Your withholding used to be how much? 2.5, right? Now is how much? It has gone down to 2%. Even supplies too. Before now, it used to be 10 and 5. So imagine I'm doing a supply of 10 million and you're taking 5% from it. But now you're taking, which I can use to offset later. If what I'm buying have input VAT, I can net from my output VAT. All it takes is just documentation, sir. Keep documents, that's all. Before ShopRite closed down, they were integrated into FIRS. So the moment you buy from them, there's a stamp on it that shows FIRS, which means you that have used that, you can use it to claim input VAT if that's on your cost of sale. So things is all about documentation. But people want to be mischievous. The only thing I can tell you about the new tax reform is that penalties are stiffer. And if penalties are stiffer, then you are also supposed to be happy, because if you are giving me a job, let's say you are giving me a job of 200 million and you refuse to take withholding from it, let's say you take the withholding of 20 million at 10% and you didn't remit on my behalf so I can use it to offset my CIT. You know that by the time I'm supposed to pay CIT, I will not have that money to pay. But if the penalty is stiffer now, that person will have to pay. So I can use it at the end of the day. So it's still down to everything favoring us. It's that we are misinformed. And apart from the fact that we are misinformed, we have put our mind because of the way our country is. And it's a reflection of we, the citizens. I'm telling you the truth. It's a reflection of we, the citizens. If we don't say rank candid to the guy with the big jeep, if we don't say that, okay, we have to run around him, explain to us how you made your money, this is from taxpayer, that's where the real question should be. So that should be a discussion for another day. And looking in the tax reform, this is a better tax reform, I tell you. Imagine, let me even break it down to that level of small companies and big companies. Before now, it used to be 5 million. Imagine. So 4 times, that's like 300% increase that within that threshold, you're not paying taxes. So if I'm making 100 million now, the only thing I should be worried about is what? Transaction tax. And what is the transaction tax? Government say I have staff. I want to pay them salary. Come out and give me. Right? That's not your money. Government say you are giving somebody a job. It's business to business. Come out and give me. I will keep them for the person. When he wants to pay tax, he can use it to offset their tax. But it's so complicated for us that when we're supposed to remove this one and remit on behalf of the person, they're not saying give to the government like that. If I'm your staff, you take from me, you remit, I will come and claim it. If I'm doing business with you, you remit, I'll come and claim it. But because we don't pay for ourselves, all we like to do is money laundry and big manism. You want to go and withdraw 20 million naira from the bank so that you can speak in tongues, shoot guns, and then you talk. I mean, what kind of God do you have that will not tell you to transfer 20 million naira? Do you understand what I'm saying? So the type of behavior Nigerians indulge themselves in, that is why you are seeing that they have all these behaviors of just doing anything they want. Until tax is automated, that is the solution. Until tax is automated. So for now, I implore Nigerians, pay your taxes, follow the budget. Let's have a better country. Thank you.
Round of applause for him, please. Thank you so much. So we have two reactions quickly as we round down. So we're taking a reaction from Praise and my brother by.
Good evening, everyone. I feel like it's been a lovely conversation so far. So I've heard conversations and opinions from various school of thoughts, but I feel like one thing that a personal opinion at the end of the day is that we seem to be out of touch with reality, right? A big question I would ask is that I think the lady from Anyway mentioned about the major issue that I see from every single thing that we're talking about here falls back to our educational sector, right? This happens because misinformation cannot happen in places where the education is sound. Because we mention words here like budget or anyway, and the truth is that majority of Nigerians do not even have any idea that anything like anyway exists. People don't even know what budget means. You mentioned about tracking budget. When you say what's the word you used? You said something about when you a big person like embezzles money, they can be able to like ask the person, oh, what and what and what. We have been in this country year in, year out, where when people question authority, they are being or bullied and the likes. So how on earth would somebody now have the mind when you have seen what people have constantly suffered? We're talking about NSAS protests of 2020. Few people in prison from protesting for the freedom of Nigerians, right? So I feel like the blame game is a bit too harsh on citizens, right? Because I know that even the first time I spoke, I said something about how on paper tax law is brilliant, right? The major issue is the implementation, right? So even the tax law, we're blaming people and talking about how it is that majority of people in this country are not educated. They don't have access to proper education. The lady from anyway mentioned something about there have been a lot of access to public schools and that but people don't want to go to schools. Those public schools, what are the conditions of those schools? What are the quality of the teachers in those schools? What's the curriculum looking like? A lot of questions I could ask. So if, for example, their foundation is so bad, when they get to the point where they can be able to ask questions about budget and the like, they have no idea. So you cannot blame them for that. A majority of Nigerians cannot even afford schooling. We seem to be out of touch because when we look at our immediate environment, country, that's not the case. I understand where everybody's coming from and everybody's really valid points. But the truth is that Nigeria is not everybody that is bigger than this. We're 50. We're not just 35 people. So we have to understand that at different social classes, there are different people, there are different experiences. The reality that you have is not the same reality that you have. So we're exposed to something, growing a certain level of life and access to something. That's the judgment that you should use for people that they don't have any hope. We talk about politics, right? Just going into politics. I'm not a person of any particular political support. But one thing I would say is that the reason why Nigerians are easy for them for vote buying and stuff like that to happen is because of the level of hunger and lack of education back again. Because when you attend or when you watch primaries or election in America and other exposed countries or urbanized countries in the case, you see that people are interested because they have proper education. They know what somebody is. When Trump is talking, they understand what he's saying. When he uses government tones or government words, they know what he's saying, so they can make a choice for themselves. If Tinubu comes out and says something, nobody understands anything. Nobody knows what policy means. As simple as policy. A lot of Nigerians don't know what policy means, right? So I feel like the blame game we should be a bit considerate to the actual reality of actual Nigerians.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Let's know your name and what you do.
Yeah. Thank you very much for giving me this wonderful opportunity. My name is Emmanuel Yokuma, aka Mr. Greyhair. I really want to use this opportunity to express my feelings based on what is happening in our country. First of all, I'm sorry to say this. The public orientation agency have totally failed in their responsibility. They don't educate the Nigerians. That's number one. Two, I really appreciate some of Nigerians. Nigerians are very, very obedient people. Let's be sincere to ourselves. But the leadership is very bad. Nigerians pay tax directly or indirectly. Let me set this example clearly. Like we that operate on the roads, I'm proud to call myself a taxi driver. And I love renewing my papers when they are due. As I speak to you, we don't know the specific current price that it takes to renew commercial vehicle up till now. And when you ask, what are they using this money for? We are not holding our government accountable. And that is why they are so relaxed in doing what they are doing to us. Back I think some years ago about the MSAS, look at what happened. I'm proud to say that we are among the MSAS protesters. Because a man that is on the floor is not afraid of going down. I always call myself a one-man squad. I started a fight about the taxi driver, what was happening with the taxi driver. But believe you me, we were only few that were fighting this fight. I became a target. And whenever I see injustice, I always come out to fight it. Because you can only die once. And I believe in dying and leaving a very good legacy. What is our leaders doing? What are they doing? It is not all about sitting here and lamenting. What is our responsibility? You look at the National Assembly, you go to some local areas, and some of us will travel a lot. Some roads that have been awarded contracts for years. They say government is a continuity. What are they doing? If you have to travel by road, it's a slap on our face, and we have youth, vibrant youth. It is not all about speaking grammar. It is right time for us, it is the high time for us to wake up to our responsibility and challenge the government. It is quite unfortunate. We see other countries where we say a Rome was not built in a day. Will the country continue moving in a slow movement? Is it how we are going to continue year in, year out? Rome was not built in a day. Government will come, government will go. There is nothing to write home about. It is a slap on our face. I rest my case for now.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I think he collaborated with President, and because of time, we won't be able to speak into that again. Just so that we can round up time and our brothers are on to go and pray and break their fast. All right, so thank you so much. Just as I said earlier, so we have each of our speakers speaking to and reacting to all what we said. And I believe through that, and because of that, you'll be able to answer each of our questions and give clarity to those dark spots. Thank you so much. Start with you.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm not surprised to hear what the citizens have said. By the way, I say that also when I'm teaching a tax class. I normally will start with who likes to pay tax. Maybe in a class of 100, you just see one hand that is not even full. And I would say that even me too, I don't like to pay tax, right? And why would I say that? It's because I understand an average Nigerian stance regarding tax. But when I started this conversation, I started by saying something. If we want Nigeria to be better, right? Citizen participation is non-negotiable. And as I said, for the first time, I think that this tax reform is giving us a uniform voice for us to all say that, oh, I'm paying taxes. And I tell people in the Western world, see, the moment someone is apprehended or anything, the next thing we're saying that, I pay my taxes. You can treat me like this. Yes, there's a way you think when your money, when you directly contribute, to something, it makes you to be interested in how it is utilized. And unfortunately, the way the world system is designed is that you have to pay your taxes first, then the government perform. It's your civic responsibility as a citizen of any country to pay your taxes. That's the world order. We cannot fight it. Maybe when we come to this act, we can create another word and create that order. But that's the order, that you pay your taxes, then you request for accountability. So I'm hoping that since this is sparking this reaction, that because you are now made to pay, because now the way the system is being created, just as I said, it will be automated. Everybody now has a tax ID. That means you cannot earn, unlike how we used to, unlike how it used to be before, which tax evasion was quite high. We only had few Nigerians that were paying taxes, and they're the ones that kept paying taxes repeatedly. So I'm happy that for the first time, it's as if we now have a common ground, all of us, that will make us have the same voice. I'm hopeful. I'm not sure if it's going to work, but as I said, with the reaction I'm seeing so far, I think that may be it, giving us that uniformity, uniform voice in asking for accountability. And maybe to also encourage us to pay attention to what is happening with the government. Recently, the federal government released money to the primary healthcare centers in billions. They issued a red paper. Who saw the red paper? How many people? I saw the red paper. And you saw, just as I said, when I saw the red paper, when I went to see the comments, maybe just like 10 comments, and I'm like, we are not ready as a country. This is a paper that every Nigerian should be chewing and going to their primary health care center, asking them, they just released billions to you people. What did you use it for? Now, that is the government also going a stage forward, I would like to say higher, to make sure that citizens hold them accountable. I think also that Nigerians, we don't know how the government works. He said something that the president will say, oh, go and meet your state government. Actually, yes, the federal government is not supposed to provide all our needs. At the moment, FAP allocation is the highest that it has ever been in Nigeria. Why? Because of the subsidy removal. That means that the state governments, they have more money to spend. Every one of us, the question we should be asking is that, what is our government using that money for? It's not just the president. We are too fixated on the president. I'm not saying we should not hold him accountable, because I am also holding him accountable. But the point is that every of the state government, they have their responsibilities. They have their roles, right? You cannot be expecting that a federal government budget to be used to fund to create a state road. That is the job of the state government. So that's why we must understand this. And that's why I said, I like this platform, at least it's enlightening more citizens. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So we did Mr. Telvi.
Okay, thank you so much. Once again, I would like to let Nigerians know that the time that we should have started following budget, the time that we should have started holding government accountable would have been since 5 years ago. Because as today, I'm telling you that, let me just make this round, like, for instance, the reason why, this is not that I hate activists in Nigeria, but the reason why activists can exist in Nigeria is because government have failed. Because an activist is following kidnapped victim to rescue them from the. That is the case of Nigeria. And I'm also telling you that, right? If I'm not harsh on Nigerians, let me give you this instance that you should be harsh on Nigerians. If I go to the bank over the counter and I want to withdraw cash, I may likely get a mutilated note, right? But the next day, on Saturday, if I had, they are selling mint. right? Currently in Nigeria, ATM, working ATM are not so many. So you buy money. You go to the PSO, you buy money. So literally Nigerians are not even doing anything completely. We are completely redundant. We are doing nothing. The best of us would pack their money. Can I shock you guys? There's nobody that traveled out of the country relocating that was not doing well in Nigeria. Because relocating is not just that you move with 5 million naira or 10 million naira. And whoever accrues 10 million naira per annum is almost at 800,000 per month. How many jobs are that? That's a director level in civil servant. In civil service, I mean. So the conversation of we Nigerians holding the government accountable have started long time ago, but we are still joking around. And the tax reform should set precedent for us. By the time we start complying, hold our tax clearance certificates up high, then we can start holding the government accountable. And just as every other consultant will let you know that now we pay less tax, it is the better time for us to key into it. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very, very much. A round of applause for Mr. Telvi.
Thank you very much. I think one of the key things we should take away from today's meeting is educating ourselves, since the government is not doing that for us, since our education system has failed us. Personally, I always say this: when I was in school, what I learned in school and what I learned out of school are two different things. I think when I studied my ICANN exam, I got to realize that I know nothing about accounting, because I spent 4 years in school getting a good result. But when you go to real life situation, you see that there's nothing you know about it. But then when you start to educate yourself, you start to see the difference in things, and that is what we should focus on. Get to know most of the policies in the country. What our government doing? Know what your government is doing. Know each and every policy that affects you, and how you can benefit from it. And if we do that, I think we'll be in a better situation as a country. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. And then we'll take Mr. Ili even as we round up the session.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, my closing remarks will just be to respond to the point my brother made. So you want us to cut Nigerians some slack, right? The truth is, I agree with you that Nigerians have tried, in the past to get government to do what they are supposed to do. But I need you to understand that it's not a sprint, right? It's a marathon. And there are a lot of examples across the world for us to learn from, right? Even from Nigeria, the democracy we are enjoying today, there were Nigerians who fought for this democracy for years, and we are enjoying it today, even if you say it's in the worst form. But then it gives us an opportunity to still change our leaders from time to time. So what I'm just trying to say is that it's a fact that we need to continue. Like all the speakers have said, we need to be more interested, more invested in how government runs society. We need to be more active in our immediate environment. Ensure that, governance at the level where we are, whether it's at the local government level, the state level, the federal government level, that we play our role as active citizens. Abuja is far from a lot of Nigerians, right? A lot of Nigerians, closest actors to them are their councillors, their local government chairmen. How do they relate with those actors? When there are local government elections, you have seen the turnout. Even in the Abuja elections that just happened, it was abysmal. So when we say it's because people who were meant to vote are not educated enough, is that Nigerians are not just interested in how leaders emerge. And the election numbers show it. On election day, you see people not coming out because the sun is too hot or because it's raining. And then when the results, are churned out, we complain. If you look at states like Kano that have gotten the leaders they desired, You see how they follow the process from the polling units to the ward collation centers to the local government collation centers. And they ensure that their votes count. If that level of vigilance is available in every local government, in every ward across the country, we would begin to see a semblance of the leadership that Nigerians desire at the end of the day. So, like I said, it's a marathon. We have to keep at it. Sometimes it might be discouraging, looking at all the indicators, the outcomes, but it's one that we must keep at, and hope that at a later time, everything will come together for good. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. And thank you to every one of us, especially those that spoke. Oh, okay, so there's someone's hand that is raised in the Zoom call, so we'll just take him. Mr. Folau. Yes, I think he has something to say.
We can hear you.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to also contribute and to also say that it's been amazing listening to the conversation in the room from our friends from the informal sector to our colleagues that are experts in financial management and taxes, and of course also our partners from government. And I was, when Inyobong was making his comment, I said, this man, he has gone to copy my note, or am I the one that copied his note? Yeah, so the first thing I would like to weigh in on the conversation is to draw an analogy. Imagine, like Ini said, it's a very, very long journey. And I think that collectively as Nigerians, we must agree. It's not about who is at fault. We must agree that we may not have a proper sense of how far we are from where we ought to be. And collectively, we all have played a role in getting to that point. So even if we as citizens think that government contributed 95% to that problem, that your 5% is part of the problem, and you have to take responsibility for that 5%. If people from government think, oh, yeah, citizens are not doing this, they ought to be doing this and all that, and we say, okay, government will take 40%, and or let's say government will take 60%, and citizens should take 40%, or what they say, okay, you people that are civil society, you should as well take some part of the blame. The point is, we all contributed to how we got here, one way or the other. And my analogy is that imagine I'm living in Badagry, right? And the destination called good governance is as far as, let's say, Kebbi State or Zamfara or even Chad Republic, right? You see, and they tell me that there's only one means of getting to that place. I can only go to with Keke Nape. The fact that it's a very long, stressful, painful journey, right, not mean that I will not start that journey. And what we have been able to establish in this room this evening is that we have to start that journey and we have to continue. From where my mother came from, there is this adage that we do say that no matter what happens, a pig will get to a young town, right? It may make all the noise in the world, it may grumble, it may do whatever it is. You can't, whether you want to drag yourself or anything, a pig will always get to Oyo. The noise may be much. And to us as citizens, and those, let us also forget, thanks to our experts in the room, the consultants and all that. Look, first thing is that we are all citizens. Even the madam from the National Orientation Agency, she's also a citizen. In fact, unlike we that we may be dodging tax. Our own tax is from source. So before she gets the alert in the month that her salary has been paid, her tax is deducted from source. So we need to pay attention to the fact that we are all citizens first before our secondary responsibilities, maybe as government officials, as consultants, and all of that. So we have a role to play in making sure that our country gets to where we desire for it to be. The second thing I want to say, as a contribution to the conversation in the room, is that social contract is not like every other kind of contract. The interesting thing about social contract is that you don't wait for the other side to do what they are supposed to do before you do your own. So, as a government, you don't wait for citizens to pay their taxes before you provide services. As a citizen, you don't also wait for government to provide services before you pay your tax. Because if we are all doing hide and seek and dodging ourselves that, okay, I will perch like this and wait for government to do their part, or as government we are saying we are not moving, we are waiting for citizens to play their part, nothing will get done. So what brings you the leverage to negotiate in a social contract is that you are taking the responsibility for your part. And that is my parting word for us as we round up this session. We must all play our part. We must all play our part. Thank you so much, everybody, for being a part of that. I wish us a pleasant evening, and enjoy the rest of your week as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Folaon. So, for what he's saying, everyone has to do their part. Government has to play their part. We citizens also have to play our part if we want to actually demand anything from each other. So, to round up everything that has been said in this room, and once again, thank you so much to every one of us that has added in one way or the other to make this conversation happen today. These are our first Civic Talks, and you all came here, and we are really grateful to have you all in the room. So what we're hearing right now is tax reform is not bad, taxation is not bad, but the issue is implementation and also government trying or making ways to ensure that they bridge the gap between citizen and government and also fix that trust issue that the citizen have with the government. So there is need to, will I say, better educate, especially those from the informal sector, how to keep their money. Bookkeeping is very important. We will talk all about these things. Oh, you're exempted from tax, you're not exempted from tax, but they know how to keep records of everything they make. So there's need for that education to happen. So once again, we say thank you so much for coming and joining us today. Have our next Civic Talk next quarter, and you will definitely be hearing from us. Thank you so much. Please, we'll have group photographs just here. So please. Okay, there's a question for Mr. Ini, but because we have spent so much time, we would ask any question or the person that has a question to meet Mr. Ini privately and continue the conversation. Thank you so much, sir. Please, pictures just in front here, please. And have light refreshment outside.
So let's come forward here, please. Let's use the background here. Just 2 minutes, please, before you go. So let's just come this way, please. Just come together. Sorry. You can make two rows because of space. You can have one here and then one behind. Just come here. We are congested there. I'll just shift a bit. Everybody, please. I think the frame. Where policy meets the people.
Civic Talks, come on. Civic Talks. 1, 2, ready, go.
Civic Talks. Civic Talks. Thank you very much. Please, you can check us up on Instagram, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and on Twitter at My Civic Talks. On Instagram, on Instagram and X. Right for CIS Day, you can check us up on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on every social channel.